Ignite Your Purpose, episode 108. My name is JB, and I'm really tired. Max, do the intro.
Poor John. What? We should just have a talk about your whole travel life. Anyway, episode 10. What is it? 107?
Hey.
108. He just said it. I can't even hear. It's all good. It is Ignite Your Purpose. We talk longevity through a healthy lifestyle. People, you know this. It's a mix of mentical. My new word for the day.
Let's go for tentacles.
Mental, physical, and spiritual knowledge. The mind, body, soul trifecta. And on the simplest based, we're taking us from negative to positive. It's where we want to live. It's where we want to be. It's what we want to express and give out to others as well as to ourselves. Right, John? Today, I was thinking, because it's kind of been my reunion time for a lot of the courses I took, and a lot of people hit me up. I want to talk action compared to talking, and everybody knows I talk a lot, but there is a point where your actions have to match the shit you are spewing out of your mouth, meaning you have to meet the universe halfway to make stuff happen. And maybe John and I could speak to you guys about our process over the last 6 months. We did the first thing, which is starting, which is amazing. Then we just kind of talked and didn't implement actions, and how it kind of fell apart. And until we actually did implement everything we've been doing lately, that it started to actually reinvigorate and retake off.
Okay. So to place some context on that, we began this in, I think, November last year. We were doing a show a week, and generally we would record on a weekend, and it might be on a Saturday, and it might be on a Sunday, and it might be in the morning Max's time or the evening my time, but there was no real structure to when we spoke or what time we spoke and what we were going to talk about. We'd just kind of come up with something on the spot, and it was kind of intermittent. I went away, Max went away. We had a big long break, and it fell apart. Now, kudos to us for starting, for doing something that was uncomfortable, out of our comfort zones. And and for starting, but because we started tentatively or nervously or without a real idea of, not the ultimate destination, but the general continent that we were trying to get to, it fell apart. Now we have implemented doing this daily, and it's pretty much within an hour or two each day. People do one of four things really when people actually generally they do nothing. Life rolls on, it is how it is, and they're not even aware of not doing nothing, but they're doing nothing. This always happens to me, or it's the government, it's the place we live in.
Yep.
And that still takes action and energy to do that, because it still takes energy and context and thoughtfulness not to get out of bed in the morning. And I'm paraphrasing somebody else here, by the way. This isn't my stuff. And then there are the people who back off, and when they see something ahead of them, something needs to change, whatever it might be, and they just run the other way.
Yep.
Then there are the majority of us, and I think a lot of us can place ourselves into the box of we take a normal level of action. We get up and we go to the gym. We kind of eat quite well. We started a podcast, but we didn't put a load of work into it.
Mediocrity.
Average. Who wants to be average? We put in the average amount of work.
The bare minimum.
An average result out of it. And no wonder things kind of peter out and fall off, because in our mind we've got this idea that we'd like to put out this podcast and do this show and connect with people and make a difference in some people's lives, but we're only putting an average amount of work in, so we're only going to get an average amount out of that. So we had a couple of shows which popped up into the thousands, and they were the shows that we put more than average amount of work into. And I would say we are somewhere between doing a normal level of action and a massive level of action. we've started implementing this every single day and putting more time into it and learning about the editing and the cutting and the chopping a story up and posting little videos and a link. And because we're doing it every day, I think we've probably done it. I think we're halfway to massive action. But if you genuinely want to do something about your health, going on Weight Watchers and walking around the park isn't going to be enough. For Max and I, if we just do a show every day and put it on Facebook or YouTube, and that's it, that still is in the context of an average amount of work. For us to skyrocket somewhere else, we need to be able to be putting in the hours. And I've just rambled. I think we're somewhere there because we've taken the action. We're aiming not to be average, but to be above average.
To steal the line from Grant, right, Mr. Cardone would be 10x it. And, you know, John and I have definitely, I think a belief for both of us would be to continue to educate ourselves, right? And that is also means surrounding yourself with those people who are way above you, right? And I think something John and I probably never did was aim high enough. We aimed.
Sorry, I missed that, buddy.
I said we've talked about this. We never really aim high enough.
Yeah.
We set our goals; they're totally attainable. And then when we get them, we pat ourselves on the back and be like, "Cool, let's go to a movie," you know, instead of 10xing the 10x. And I think that's where we get to those next levels in life. If those are your ambitions, if it's not, please, I'm not saying you should do or not do this. But for John and I, we're just simply talking about implementing action. And since we sat down, whatever it is, 110 days ago, 112, 15 days ago, and said we're going to do this, you just see it grow. Whereas now we're talking pre-shows and post-shows. We're planning, we're plotting. We've divvied up jobs. We spend a little money here and there. And it's just a lot different than, you know, talking to him once a month going, "Okay, bro, we're going to do that show." And to all of you out there who have said to me and John, "Hey, bro, we're going to do that show," and then you never do it, take the action. Let's do it. Because if you don't start, you just keep pushing it off. It's no different than John saying, you know, go on Weight Watchers and go for that walk. You might order the product, but you never start taking it. And I've been there, done that, and I'm telling you, the way life is today compared to the way life was then, by taking action, everything changes. Yeah. Absolutely everything.
And to tie that back into society, I think we all live in an environment where we're encouraged not to set those goals high enough and not to reach the stars. What if you don't get there? Don't go and do that, because you might not. It might not happen. You might not get there. You might be disappointed. You might be upset. And so we're setting these goals lower and lower and lower. And I'd suggest, you want to save some money, I'd rather fail aiming towards £1 million than £1,000. You know, if you're going to not make it, I'd rather not make a massive target than one which is very attainable. So
we'd rather and this says a lot about society. And this is something I was talking to John about in Soto Zen. We talk about this fear. We'd rather not start than the fear of failure. You know, I mean, we'd rather not start so that we don't even fail. And John and I are both athletic, so we both understand that when you push yourself, when you just push yourself, it's unbelievable what the body can do. So if we pushed our mind to these unattainable levels, it is unbelievable what the body, the mind, the soul can do, right? I think back in the day, there was probably not such a weird box put on everything. You know, if you go back to stories that are told about Sparta and the city of Troy and all that, like the shit people came up with, you got to think outside the box. You got to implement action, and you can't be scared to fail, right?
Yep. Well, that's enough.
John's tired. What a journey he's been on. What a trooper he is, being consistent and concise for the Ignite Your Purpose team. We appreciate that. Everybody on the podcast, on audio listening, thank you so much. Thank you for everybody on YouTube. And
thank you.
We're going to be up on BitChute. We're on Real Video. We're everywhere. Subscribe, like, share. We're trying to put that positivity out. God, I can't speak. Positivity. I think I got John's tiredness through the phone. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, we appreciate you guys, John. Get some sleep, John. Enjoy the sun. Thank you so much for showing up. That's half the battle.
Thank you. Speak to you tomorrow. Bye.